Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Mishmash Monday. How was your weekend? Have a good weekend? I hope so, because I'll tell you, this is a great time of year. You know, the beginning of spring. We have less than 2 months to Jacktown. Looking forward to that. We got a lot of YouTube creators going to show up there. It's going to be a big deal. 2 months from now, Bangor, Pennsylvania. We'll talk more about that. The first thing I want to start the show off with is I like to ramble a little bit, you know, get into the groove. I was watching my good buddy Gunter's Garage. Bob is a great guy, just a fantastic channel. I'll have all links to that in the back and the end of this. Just a great guy, nicest guy you ever want to meet. He's going to be at Jacktown. But he was sending something back and forth with Vic. You know, Big Vic. We love Big Vic. Who doesn't? So, but they were talking, and Big Vic had apologized to Bob. He says, listen, you know, I'm sorry about my handwriting. And Bob says, geez, my handwriting's horrible too. And it made me think, you know, I said, it made me think of my dad. Now, I told you about my dad. I know I talk about him a lot because, you know, I miss him and I had tremendous respect for the man. But I told you he wasn't an educated man, you know, didn't even, I think, go into high school. But his handwriting, oh, God, he had the most beautiful handwriting. Now, that's pretty unusual for a man. Men typically don't have as good of a handwriting as women. And one thing about women, some of their handwriting is just absolutely beautiful. I've always been a fan of great handwriting. I just think it says a lot about you as a person. Now, we had to practice it back then. And again, women seem to pick it up much better than guys do, you know. But there are some guys. I had a friend, Jose Rodriguez, in grammar school. Jose had the best handwriting. Oh, and this kid's signature, I used to joke with him. I used to say, Jose, your signature belongs on the Declaration of Independence. It's like right up there with John Hancock. He used to have all them swirly lines, and it was beautiful. I wonder what happened. No, I haven't seen Jose in 35 years. Anyway, you know, so if you have that a handwriting, it's just a beautiful thing. But that doesn't mean that we tend to, sometimes if we can't do something, like if you can't draw, you say, I can't draw, and you stop. Handwriting's not like that. Handwriting, you can be a better handwriter. And my father used to tell me what he used to do is when he used to work as an oil truck driver, he used to, when he was delivering or had a break or something like that, he used to practice his handwriting. And he used to tell me, you need to practice your handwriting. You need to practice your handwriting. And you know something, I started practicing, and I'm going to get back into it. I'm making a resolution now that within a year from now, I want to do a better job in my handwriting. And I want you to come along with me on this challenge. And I know Bob is trying to make Gunter is trying to make a concerted effort to do better handwriting. And I know Vic too. And I just wanted to give you some hints and tips and to start you off on the right direction. I'd like to know what your comments are about handwriting. You know, it's funny, when somebody writes you something, if you have a letter, think about all the things that you have that you kept. Nobody keeps a printed email. I don't care what kind of content. It's like, yeah, you know, but if somebody sits down and writes you a letter, I still got letters that I can't throw out because they're written beautifully by people that I knew, you know, handwritten. Whereas if it was an email, you know, it goes into recycle. So let's get right to that right now and talk about ways to improve your handwriting, little ways. Okay, the first thing that you have to think about when you're going to be writing anything, if you're going to jot something down, is the first thing I find the most important is the height of the paper that you're going to write on, okay? Now, we're going to just take any pencil here. I'm just going to grab a pencil. Now, when you want to write something, you know, there's some people, it has to be how you feel comfortable. Right now, this paper is at belt level, okay? I find that, you know, your best writing comes between belt and nipple level. The word nipple is funny even to use because, you know, people's nipples are all over the place, but usually they're in an area that's just above the rib cage. So that is where you want your writing. So some people, like I notice, I like to be closer to the paper. So what I do, if this is where it's belt height now, if I was writing something, I would bend over because I like my head less than a foot away from the paper, okay? That's just the way I am. Secondly, the type of paper you're going to use. You know, here we have, these are called legal pads. You pick these up, great for practicing and whatnot. And then the type of writing implement you're going to use, whether you like a pen or pencil. I'm a pencil guy. From the old school, I'm trying to bring back pencils one at a time. I write everything in pencils. They don't even like when I write my checks in pencils. They get all bent out of shape. I like pencils. That's what I like. Anyway, so, and the other thing is when you want to do a test to make sure before you start writing, just to make sure that it's going to flow okay, that you're going to get a nice mark or line on your paper. So now that we have that ready, one last consideration to make is the softness of your paper. That can make a tremendous difference in how your writing comes out. Now, if I was writing on this paper right here, like on this, here we have, this is a Corian. If I was to write here, you could see when I make that mark, you see what it looks like. But if I have a pad behind that mark and I make another mark, it flows so much easier. So years ago, they used to have what's called a blotter, and they had that because it would absorb, it would blot up the excess ink from the old pens. But you can use a blotter with everything you write with. And what makes a great blotter is if you only have, let's say, one piece of paper to write on, you would take this piece of paper, let's say you only had one piece of paper like this, and then you would put it on a blotter. And this cardboard is a perfect blotter. And this is a cereal box, okay? Cereal box cardboard makes fantastic blotters. You can even double it up or whatever, but that makes a huge difference in how your writing will come out. So you have position, you have softness, you have the type of paper, and now your writing implement. We're doing great so far. Now, this is where it should be fun for you, because different paper will behave differently with different writing implements, okay? Now, the legal pad, I said, like, that's a basic paper that's pretty decent, but you have much better paper that will help the pen or pencil flow much easier. And again, like I said, your position and the softness of the paper is equally important. But here we have some examples of I was trying out some different writing implements to see which one I prefer. So what you do is there was an old sentence that says, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. That includes every letter of the alphabet. It's good to help you write. Now, you have to pick a font that you like. Now, this is my font, and I came up with this because of when I was doing my amateur radio and Morse code. You had to come up with a way to write letters very quickly and still be somewhat legible, and this kind of stuck with me. So, but that's the font I like, and it don't dip below the line, so I have no dips. It's almost like caps, all caps. But that's just what I like. So now what you do is you pick different pencils or pens. You buy a few to see what you like, and you'll find one, because there's nothing worse than trying to write with a horrible pen or pencil. So here it is. I wrote this 3 times, then I would write down the type of pencil. And you could compare and say, wow, I like look at the darkness of this one here. This is a gel point pen. You see, this one's here, this one. And you could see the darkness, but you could see that it's kind of scratchy compared to the smoothness of the pencil. And look over here. Look at the darkness of these two. This is these two pencils here. This is a Dixon Oriole up here, and then of course the Blackwing 602. You know, we went through this before. That's the choice of a lot of artists and things like that. But you could tell, and the Tri-Write. Okay, a Tri-Write is a pencil that's shaped like a triangle, that it just fits in here much better. But what a difference those little things can make for you. And again, here is the difference. Like, look at this. Look at how thick that is and how that looks compared to here. This is no blotter. Okay, that's without having any cardboard, just on there. And you can see the difference. So do that. Practice. Make a couple things and say, what do I like? Which type do I like? And then pick a pencil, pick a type of paper. Look at script. I'm horrible with script, huh? But that, I think we can all do better when it comes to handwriting. And it's something, you write a card or something. Nothing worse than chicken scratching a card. I believe that penmanship is one of those things that we can all do better with. And some people have beautiful, beautiful handwriting. And I love it. I think it's like an art. So I know a lot of you guys are saying, yeah, my wife's got nice hand, or my mother had nice handwriting. My mother went to Catholic school, and they had to practice that like crazy, and her handwriting was just absolutely beautiful. You know, even until the day she passed away, her handwriting was just gorgeous. So I think we can all make a concerted effort. We should get on board with Bob and Vic, and we should all take this next year to try and improve our handwriting. And, you know, when you stop improving, you're just getting worse. You're getting lazy. So what do you say we do that? Next up, got a pretty good show planned for you today. A little bit of knife talk. Let's get right to that. You know, I went upstairs to look for today's project, you know, and I just happened to look in one of my drawers, and I saw these knives. And you know, and I like these two types of knives that you're looking at here. One is a fixed blade, and one is a folder. And whenever I see them, especially at a decent price, I will pick them up. And the fixed one here, you know, this here was a very common knife back. And this one here is made by Imperial. You can see Imperial. And they were out of Providence, Rhode Island, I believe. And still in business today. A great little all-around knife. The kids would have these. It's really a good knife. And for the price, it had a nice little, guard that you didn't have to worry about slipping up. Had a nice handle. They were pretty much bulletproof. You didn't see too many of these handles broken. It was like a high-density plastic. A nice little knife. But when I was looking up there, time for a little show and tell, I saw these and I said, man, a lot of you still haven't seen these. Again, these were made by Colonial. Okay, again, out of Providence, Rhode Island. Colonial knife. This one here, World War II. This was a Navy and also Army that was a pilot survival knife. And you look at this knife, you say, well, it looks like a regular, pocket knife. But let me show you the difference. I don't think anybody ever, I bring this sometimes to the shows to let people hold it, and they say, oh my God, let me show you the difference. Here is your typical Girl Scout knife. You see here? This is your Girl Scout knife from the 50s. A beautiful little knife here. I always like these. I still like them. And you could see here, this one was made by Cutmaster out of Utica, New York. And look at that. It's a nice knife. And this is a standard style pocket knife, right? I like those green scales on here. But there's the Girl Scout knife, right? Now, here's another knife you might be familiar with. This is very similar to like a Barlow style, but this is an electrician's knife. A little bit bigger. This was considered like a pretty big pocket knife to carry around. But electricians with this electrician knife would be used, had a regular blade here, then it had the flat screwdriver blade here, used in the military, things like that, right? Now look at that. Now compare that to this. Okay? Now you see what I'm talking about. This thing's a monster. I got big mitts, and this thing, it's like, if you ever come across one of these, now they went up in price. I told you to buy them last time I showed this on the air. They were going for like $45, $50. Now they're up around $100, These things are something that collectors, a lot of people can't afford the big stuff anymore, so because they don't have the room. So smaller things are becoming more and more collectible, especially something like this. Anybody who knows, who's seen one, it has a blade on one side, and on the other side here, it has a saw. A lot of times the saw is broken off near the tip for some reason, but this saw would cut through metal, wood, and it was just a beautiful survival knife that they put out. And it's a liner lock, and it's really heavy duty. And, I'll bring it to the show. You got to see what it feels like. It's beautiful. Okay, so getting back to today's project here. Now, look at this. A couple people were saying, they wanted to know about, we already did how much weight is taken off when you take a lot of metal off, but we also want to do the thickness. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure it, we're going to weigh it, and we're going to, because this has extensive, this is about the worst kind of pitting you're going to find on a knife, correct? I mean, it don't get any worse than this. Now, we're going to try and make this into something that's somewhat presentable, somewhat usable, and we'll see how much thickness we have to take off. So let's get to that. Okay, we're going to be using our Accutech scale here, first of all. First, we're going to go to grams. Okay, we're going to go to grams here, because that's always easier. Okay, we're going to put on here. Going to weigh it. It comes in, oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? 100 grams even. Okay, next up, we're going to take a measurement. Now, we're going to measure both at the base here, where we'll probably keep a lot, and then the middle and the tip, okay? We're going to use a dial caliper here, okay? And first, we'll measure at the base. You can see we have about 95 thousandths of an inch. Now, we'll measure the middle, okay, right here. And we have 92 thousandths, and then the tip here we'll measure, okay? And there we have just about 80 thousandths at the tip, okay? 80 thousandths. So remember those numbers. Okay, that was the preliminary, and we just did that with just to get the major pitting out, okay? We still got a lot of pitting there, you know, but we got most of it out, most of the pitting out. This would be actually a good user knife in this condition, but, you know, whenever you have a carbon steel knife, you're always going to get this problem, and the reason you want to get rid of these pits is because if you're going to use it for any kind of food prep, which where, you know, when you take a knife down to that thin, it becomes a good food prep knife instead of a survival knife because, you know, you thinned it out a little. And you don't want those pits in there to kind of get any bacteria or anything that might transfer into your food. Now we're going to go, that was the flap disc. It was a 40 grit worn flap disc. We're going to go to one of Abe Elias's made in Germany, 80 grit. This thing will take a lot of metal, so you got to be very careful with that. But that will give us some of the shape we want and get rid of the rest of these pits, and then we'll go to finishing it off. But it's coming up nice. We want to try and keep as much of this as we can. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, here we are. This is the 80 grit. We got most of the pitting out. You see, this bothers me. I got those pits right by the name. There's nothing I could do there. If I take those pits out, the name's coming out. So, you know, this is walking that line again. But anyway, other than that, it's coming nicely, right? Most of the pits are gone. Now we just got to go and get the scratches out. You see where we're at now. Very good so far. I have a lot of respect for the guys that do this. Knife grinders and stuff, you know, that do it by eye. These guys are real, you know, I'm just a goofball down the shop, but I will make this into a nice user knife. So let's go to a finer belt to get some of these scratches out. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this knife looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Again, this was a lot of fun, and the goal for this knife was to just get it back that it could be a serviceable knife. Now, by no means, you know, you're going to see scratches in the blade. It is acceptable finish, right? That's an acceptable finish, but you will see some scratches in there, light scratches, but that's nothing that will affect the use of the blade. Look at this, you know, you remember how it looked, how pitted it was, and, you know, we took it down to, and look at the handle. Handle came out real nice, huh? We flitzed the rivets, and we used some Dean Collins Moonshiner Quick Detail. Shout out to my buddy Dean. And look how nice that handle came out, right? So, and we gave it a little bit of a sharpen. Let's test it out. It's a pretty knife now, right? It's a user. Now, even though this is an index card, it is very much like paper, but let's try it out here. Now, the thing is, look at that. With me, I'm not one, you know, all I want to be able to do is cut string and twine. I'm not a big, you know, paper cutter like some of these guys but that's unacceptable for, you know, this is a great prep knife. Let's see how much we took off weight-wise and thickness-wise. Okay, this is pretty exciting. If you remember, we took it was 100 grams. So let's weigh it now. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the weight of the I don't know. How can that be? How can that be? It weighs in at the same. Let's check the thickness. Look, I don't know what's going on either. So look, it was 95, the thickness at the base. 92 in the middle, and about 80 near the tip. This definitely we're going to notice. So let's check this out here. Okay, I'm doing this real time with you. Here we are at the base. Okay, we're at 8. So we lost about 6.5 thousandths off the base. Okay, in the middle. Okay, we're at 82. We used to be at 92, so we lost about 10 thousandths at the middle. And at the tip here, the tip, we were at 80. Now we're at, what are we at, 65, 66. So we lost about 13 thousandths. Now, if you're wondering how much 13 thousandths is, well, let me show you what 13 thousandths is here, thickness-wise. Let me just get it down. That's about 13 thousandths. That's how much. See that thickness there? So, right, so it's really not, too much. And the blade, it's a beautiful blade. Isn't it? I mean, I like it now. And I'll tell you what's even better about this knife is going to be given away to somebody at Jacktown. That's right, Jacktown. Somebody's going to walk away with this knife. It's a great user knife. And hopefully they won't commit a homicide on the way home and connect me to it, so I will wipe my prints free of this. But Jacktown giveaway. This is great. It's going to be great. You got to go. Okay, one last thing why I would be confident using this knife in the field, especially for food prep or something. Here, I'm going to dip it in water. It's dry now, right? I'm going to dip it in water. Look at that. Look at that. How the water just beads off there. Nothing sticks to it. And then you just give it a wipe with your finger and it's almost like bone dry. So, look at that, huh? Beautiful. So in closing, that was a fun episode. I apologize about that scale reading. I don't know what happened. How did I misread it at the first place? I don't know. Maybe I should toggle through the thing. I don't know. It's an Accutech. It's a good scale. How did it read the same thing? I don't know. We did take off a little bit, but anyway, it's a little bit of a short episode today because I want you to go over to Gunter's Garage, pay him a visit, say hello, tell him Scoutcraft said hello and that he should get to Jacktown early. And I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you have a great start of the week. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Practice your handwriting. Take care now. Bye-bye.